Now we return to Ferguson, Missouri, where 5 years after the killing of Michael Brown, a community is still healing. Our own Yamiche Alcindor went to Ferguson and reports that while some progress has been made, many who lived through that day and the protests and the unrest that followed said their lives have been changed forever.
When I wake up in the morning, my emotions are all over the place, and I really don't know if I want to go forwards, backwards, because every day is a fight for me since August 9th, 2014.
That was the day Leslie McSpadden's son, Michael Brown Jr., was shot and killed by a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. The shooting sparked protest and unrest in the city. Ultimately, Officer Darren Wilson was not indicted for killing the 18-year-old. It's now been 5 years since Ferguson became a national symbol and inspired activists across the world. For those who intimately experienced what happened here, the trauma of that time runs deep. And for McSpadden, the hurt is about what never was.
I was left with absolutely nothing. For as a remnant of Michael, he didn't have any children. He had never worked a job. As a mother, it makes you question yourself, even though you know it's not your fault. But that's what I've been dealing with for the last 5 years.
Since then, she's started a foundation in her son's name. It offers youth services and a support network for mothers dealing with similar losses. Much of her focus, though, is on her family.
My baby son is now about to be 15. People talk, they ask questions, so now he asks questions for me. How do I answer those questions?
It sounds like you're not any more confident 5 years later that your son, who's now 15, would be safe from what happened to Michael Brown.
No, I'm not.
In the hours, days, and months after Brown was killed, thousands of protesters came to Ferguson to voice outrage over the shooting. Kayla Reed was one of those protesters.
I think it really touched to the fabric of something in this country for a generation that hadn't been touched.
The sights and sounds of those days and months have left many, including Reed, scarred.
It's really hard for me to go to Ferguson. When I see that box that they poured cement over where his body laid, and I see his memorial, it's really hard to reckon with the reality that all of this came because someone had to die.
She is now co-director of the advocacy group Action St. Louis. The group campaigns to elect progressive politicians. It also hosts a fellowship for young Black activists. Reed says despite what she and others like her have accomplished, there remains a heavy weight.
So there's a lot of pressure to kind of achieve this line of justice that was undeclared 4 years ago. I felt like I was up against a clock, that if I didn't do enough, somebody else's child was going to get killed.
Physical reminders of what happened 5 years ago also remain. There are remnants of buildings that were damaged and stores boarded up in the wake of the protests. For some, they are triggers that have led to nightmares.
Well, some nights I'll be pummeling her in the back. Like the other night I was trying to push somebody out of the house, thinking that somebody had come in, and she says, "Your hands are moving, you gotta wake up."
For decades, William McCarty and his wife Judy have lived here. Their home is just a few blocks from the epicenter of the protests and unrest.
I thought every night when I took a shower, I was afraid the gunshot was going to come through the window and kill me. That's how close it was.
Judy McCarty, whose brother was once a Ferguson police officer, is still shaken by her experience.
One night they came and just to check on us to see how we were doing. And when they left, they asked us to pray for them. The police wanted prayer. They were scared.
For Joshua Williams, who was a prominent protester, the consequences are even more stark.
I saw Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Sandra Bland. I saw all those people. And most importantly, I saw myself, because I could have been one of those people on the ground under this sheet.
Williams, then 19, was arrested after he tried to set fire to a gas station. There was little damage to the building and no one was injured. Williams pled guilty to arson, burglary, and stealing. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Williams says he regrets what he did, but adds he did it for a purpose.
I was so angry that I didn't really care what came out of it. I just did it. In my mind, and that would set off the government to pay attention to us, to see our pain, to see our tears, and to see our blood in the streets.
I feel a lot of pain, and some guilt around Josh, because I really wish that it wasn't his experience. I really wish that he wasn't so young, and I wish that he didn't have to suffer this like by himself, you know? I wish we could all do a day for him so that he could come home faster or something.
For many, 5 years feels like just a snapshot in time. Residents and activists say it will take much longer to address long-standing issues and the new ones emerging. When Leslie McSpadden reflects on the next 5 years, she again turns to her family.
In 4 years, my son will graduate from high school. In 2 years, my daughter will graduate from college. I just want to be here to see it all. Through it all, I just continue to be their mother, endure what comes my way, and pray about better days for Ferguson.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Yamiche Alcindor in Ferguson, Missouri.
And a note about last night's story on the changes taking place in Ferguson. We misidentified the political affiliation of former St. Louis County Prosecutor Bob McCulloch. He is a Democrat. We also stated St. Louis County jail population has declined by 20% since new prosecutor Wesley Bell took office. That number should be 16%. We've posted a corrected version online where you can watch the entire series at pbs.org/newshour.